Elden Ring's a huge game with a lot of secrets, and you can probably do way more than you thought you could. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, 10 things you didn't know you could do in Elden Ring. Starting off at number 10, there's a pretty flashy skip you can pull off. At this point, you probably heard about the insane times people have been getting speedrunning Elden Ring. Like, there is multiple sub 30-minute times that are now reported, and like with a lot of speedrunning, most of the tricks people pull off are a lot more interesting when they're explained than when you actually see them. But this one trick in particular is really impressive, especially in the visual department. The thing is, it's not something you're able to just pull off. It requires 2 endgame items, and if you've got them, you pretty much have no reason to be skipping anything. But for New Game Plus and beyond, this is a trick that you can use to skip pretty significant portions of the game. Now, the 2 boss items you need are the Hand of Melania and Placidusax's Ruin, and what makes this spell so good is you can cast it mid-air, and for some reason, it allows you to follow up with something. You could just jump again, and that's enough for certain gaps, but if you really want to show off, then using Melania's sword ability to flip through the air is a bit more impressive. This particular skip takes you straight to the boss of the area and allows you to bypass the incredibly annoying Godskin Nobles boss, so it may be worth the price of admission for that alone. At number 9, you can smack some walls 50 times to reveal a secret. So you probably know about this one already because it's kind of getting clickbaited to hell and back, but it's still an interesting and weird thing that we haven't really gotten to talk about. There's illusory walls, which you're probably aware of at this point, but there are a few of them that are a little different. Instead of opening up after hitting them once, they take a lot more punishment. Like this one in Volcano Manor, for instance. If you stand in front of this suspicious wall that looks a lot like it's blocking an entryway and attack it over and over again, eventually it just disappears and doesn't really lead to a shocking new secret room or anything, but it actually opens up the way to a room that's already accessible. The whole thing's kind of pointless, and it's probably actually just a bug. People have speculated that illusory walls in this game actually have health values like enemies, and normally they're very low, so one hit is enough to reveal them. But during the development, they probably decided to change the layout of an area and make certain fake walls they created inaccessible, so they just made them seemingly invulnerable instead of replacing them with a standard wall. Makes sense, right? It's just a mistake. Instead of making the walls into unbreakable objects, they just gave them a lot of health. Could be a mistake, could be that they just thought somebody wouldn't bother attacking a wall for that long. But the theory kind of checks out because the number of hits required to open them are inconsistent, which could depend on your damage output, so it takes more or less hits to successfully open a secret wall. So it's probably just a dumb little bug that sounds more interesting than it actually is, but in terms of things you can do, I think it's still worthy of a mention because it's pretty unusual. At number 8, there are invisible bridges to walk over, and it is cruel. In a game with fake walls, fake floors, and all kinds of traps, maybe the nastiest secret of all is that there are invisible bridges that you can walk across. How this works makes no physical sense, and if you're playing offline, they're basically impossible to spot normally. But there's one connecting to a tower that's a little more obvious, because at least the game gives you a clue about it, but this one hidden in the secret path to the Halig tree is just ridiculous. The only way to get to it is to just fall off this random ledge and hope for the best. If you happen to be at the right place, congratulations, you're floating. The only way you could possibly guess there was something here is because there's items you can see in these balcony rooms. Otherwise, there's just nothing that tells you there's a bridge here. It's especially annoying because this secret hides the incredibly useful silver scarab talisman that boosts your item discovery by a lot. At least with the fake walls, there's something to clue you in, like if a wall section is suspiciously flat, but with these things, it's basically guesswork. At number 7, you can destroy one of those annoying chariots if you want. The ones that you find in the various heroes' tombs, yeah, they're the worst. They're fast, they hunt you relentlessly, and they're seemingly invulnerable. For the longest time, I thought there was nothing you could really do about these things, but just take their abuse. But there's actually a way to permanently deal with a few of these annoying things. Each chariot has to be dealt with in a different way. The one in the Fringe Folk hero grave, for example, can be destroyed by dropping one of these giant pots on top of it. The timing's pretty tight, but if you manage to take it out, then you get a pretty powerful bow for your efforts. Another one you can destroy is in the Azuria's hero's grave, where you can actually cause the 2 chariots to smash into each other, and that is super satisfying. It's not often you can permanently deal with these annoying hazards, so take advantage the few times you can. And number 6, you can escape grab attacks just by mashing buttons. Like, it's been a thing since the first Dark Souls, where if you get grabbed, you just mash buttons, you can actually escape the grab and negate some of the damage that you would normally take. Works the same way in Elden Ring. Just tap, alternate L1 and R1 as fast as you can, and certain grab moves will just do a lot less damage to you. Funny thing about this entry is that it's a trick I already knew about, but I didn't assume it worked in Elden Ring. Like, I thought, well, that's something that's been around since the old days. There's a lot of new stuff here. Good chance that doesn't apply. And as it turns out, it very much does, which is good, because the next time one of those annoying Iron Maiden looking things grabs you, you just start mashing and you'll escape much faster than if you don't. And number 5, you can help a jar out. One of the more amusing side quests in the game is in Jarsburg, a secret village inhabited entirely by jars. When the game first came out, there wasn't a lot to do in this place other than hang out, but with patch 1.03, they actually added somebody to talk to. This little dude named Jar Bjorn wants you to become the new potentate, and it's possible to help him out. His quest is actually tied to Alexander's quest. You can actually use the key item you get from Alexander with this guy. The whole thing doesn't really reveal any dark secrets or upend your understanding of the world or anything like that, but it's a weird little quest, and it's just one of many odd and interesting things you can do in Elden Ring that is really easy to pass up or miss out on. And number 4, Quick Step and Bloodhound Step can get you through swamps and lava way quicker. Now, trying to get through the many damaging swamps, poison swamps, lava fields. Now, these are things we knew were annoying in the Souls games for a long time now. Certain areas covered in scarlet rot or lava will kill you while only letting you move at the pace of a brisk walk. It's bad enough you're just dealing with the damaging status effects, but when enemies are attacking you on top of that, it is just a nightmare. There is a way to get through these places faster, however. You use Quick Step or even the better Bloodhound Step ability. So while you can't run through some of these places, spamming Quick Step's kind of the next best thing. It's not faster than just running, but these are areas, like I said, where you can't. Running is not an option. It is not possible. So you gotta be able to do something, right? Fortunately, Quick Step and Bloodhound Step fill that gap. And number 3, and this is one that is really gonna make some people happy. You can negate the Lord of Blood's most annoying attack. Mog, the Lord of Blood, is certainly not the worst boss in the game by any stretch, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have some really annoying tricks up his sleeve. By far the worst is this ability where he puts up to 3 hexes on you and eventually hits you with a totally unblockable amount of damage, which also restores a ton of his health, which sucks. The first time this happened to me, I was so mad. It's one of the nastier tricks that the game pulls, and it's seemingly completely impossible to avoid, which only makes it more infuriating. Like I said, this is something I had no idea about, but you can actually get a crystal tear that negates the Ritual of Blood. It's not even that hard to get either. You just need to find the second church of Marika in Altus and take out this invader named Eleonora. She drops the purifying crystal tear that you can mix with your physic to protect yourself. For whatever reason, it seems like all of these Omen bosses have some kind of weakness hidden in the game somewhere, so I guess it should be no surprise that this guy isn't different. Like, seriously though, the Ritual of Blood attack sucks so much, and it's basically automatic damage, which is always BS. So having some way to avoid it is a welcome surprise that, I mean, when you find out you can do it, it's like, yes, that is so good. I'm going to do that. And number 2, you can find out the truth about Radagon. You ever notice this weird statue in Lindell, the royal capital, with a message in front of it? If you're unaware, this is a statue of Radagon of the Golden Order, a guy who pops up all over the place in the lore of this game. He seemed to be involved with pretty much everything. He's a father to every boss with red hair. He was married to Marika, the God Queen, and apparently even tried to repair the Elden Ring after it was shattered. But an interesting thing about him is that apparently he has some kind of wild secret no one knows. After you see this message and then talk to Muriel, the Turtle Pope, he tells you that the sculptor apparently discovered Radagon's secret and hid it in the statue. Now, you can't dangle something like that in front of lore crazy Souls fans without some kind of payoff, and there is absolutely that payoff. The message in question reads, "Regression alone reveals secrets," which is pretty vague, but the keyword here is regression. There's actually a spell you can get called Law of Regression. If you cast it in front of this statue, it will disappear and reveal a message that simply says Radagon is Marika. It's a pretty crazy revelation if you're following the story. It certainly makes the ending sequence of the game make slightly more sense, as you see Marika in the Elden throne before suddenly becoming Rodigan for some reason, right before the final boss fight. The lore implications are huge, and it's all hidden in a strangely innocuous little secret. And finally, at number 1, reversing the Frenzied Flame. One of the more difficult endings to get in Elden Ring is the Frenzied Flame ending, and it's something we've talked about a decent amount already. It's hard enough just to get that ending by itself, but bizarrely, it's actually possible to reverse it as well. The steps to reversing the effects of the Frenzied Flame are long and winding, but it basically boils down to completing Millicent's quest line, which basically spans the entire game, and obtaining Miquella's Needle. To even get the needle, you need to defeat probably the hardest boss in the game, Melania, and then use Millicent's quest item on the giant rot flower that blooms in her boss room after she's dead. That's not the end of it either. To actually reverse the Frenzied Flame, you have to go to a place outside of time, which means you also have to reach the secret Dragon Lord boss, whose entire arena apparently exists outside of time and space. The whole process of reversing the flame is even more difficult to pull off than the secret ending itself, leaving a lot of people to speculate why that is. Is there another, even more hidden ending that requires you to get the Frenzied Flame and remove it? I don't know. But the whole thing's so crazy, I had to bring it up. I mean, just getting the clue to finding out how to reverse the Frenzied Flame involves dropping down a nearly impossible sequence of falls to a secret area inside of another secret area, and then intentionally baiting an enemy to destroy some scenery to reveal the clue. The clue is one hell of a secret that doesn't even seem to have a lot of a point, but it's interesting anyway, obviously. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. Click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon Hero. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.